You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
AfterBuzz TV presents Chatting with Cathy. Sit-down interviews with Hollywood's leading actors, artists, and entrepreneurs. And now, your host of Chatting with Cathy, Cathy Kelly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chatting with Cathy. I'm here today joined by a vet in the industry, even though he's still so young. His first role in We Were Soldiers alongside Mel Gibson. Now he's starred in countless Disney Channel original movies, including Cloud 9, which is recently came out. And you're also in Ravenswood, which is, it's just been huge. The success for it skyrocketed, coming off of Pretty Little Liars. So, Luke Benward, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Love being here.
And, I kind of brushed through everything that you've done acting-wise. You've also been involved in music as well.
Minimally. Yeah, minimally. Growing up is I was kind of wanting to pursue it professionally, but recently I've kind of decided that for now I want to focus on acting primarily.
Yeah.
But I still love music, and I come from a very musical family, so it's kind of in my blood still,
Yeah. So, going back to when you were younger, you grew up in Franklin, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Your family, as you said, is very musical. Your dad, your mom, your grandparents, everyone.
Mm-hmm. My dad, my grandfather, and then my great-grandfather, my grandfather's dad they're all musicians.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, my dad's whole side is music, and then my mom's side is acting.
Did they ever force an instrument on you, or is that just something that you picked up?
No, definitely not. It my parents, I give them all the credit for everything, really. But no, it was never forced, and it was always, we will support you in whatever you feel called to do, and we'll support your dreams, but we want it to be your dream.
Yeah.
And so where they always encouraged me to pick up an instrument, and where they would see the talents that I had, they would encourage that. They would never force it,
Okay.
Such as I expressed that I wanted to play guitar. And so they were like, okay. So they got me in guitar lessons, and I ended up hating it.
At what age was that?
It was probably 9 or 10.
Okay.
And then, so I ended up hating. They were like, well, okay. And then I immediately but I was like, I want to play piano, and that went on for about 2 or 3 years before I was actually like, all right, I really want to kind of figure out piano. So they got me a keyboard, and for the last probably 2 years, I took a couple lessons to begin with, learned the basics, and I've kind of just been teaching myself from there. And on the music side.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. And how did you get involved in acting? I know your mother, she was an actress. She was also an acting coach.
Yeah.
So was she the one that took you to auditions when you were younger?
It's a funny story. It kind of just fell into place.
Really?
Yeah, it was my mom is and was an actress back then. She actually, my mom was in Cloud 9.
I saw that.
Which was fun. That was a blast. So now that we live in California, she's back into auditioning and such. But yeah, at 5 years old, I was going to kindergarten class and being a normal kindergarten kid, and my mom got a call from her Nashville agent and was like, does Luke want to come do an audition for a Mel Gibson film coming to town? And she was like, I can ask him. And so she picked me up early from school, and of course I was stoked to be picked up early. And she was like, do you want to go on an audition? And I was like, what is it? And she's like, it's just, you go in and you say these things and you might be in a movie. I was like, yeah. So and I couldn't read at the time, so I just said the Pledge of Allegiance and the stuff I knew from kindergarten, and I ended up getting it. And that's where I met my agent, who I've been with since, Mitchell, who's an amazing man and been an amazing mentor. And from there, I now had a California agent from a non-speaking role in a Mel Gibson film, and so that's kind of where it started to, the snowball started rolling.
Do you actually remember that first audition, or is that something that is recounted to you by your parents?
It's definitely the story has been definitely recounted many times. I do remember certain things on set, on that first set with Mel, and he was an amazing man, and he was incredibly kind with us kids, and he would do magic tricks at lunch, and
really,
it would, just, of course, looking back, I'm probably like, there were magic tricks for me when I was 5. So I was like, oh, and he would wrestle with us in between takes, and so it was definitely a great experience, and those memories are kind of sweet to think back on.
Yeah, and from that point, you've really been working steadily in the industry since then. Was there a point when you realized that this wasn't a normal kid's, childhood growing up, that it was special?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always kind of recognized that I live a blessed life, and for me to be 18 years old and to kind of be in my career of, not only my career, but also my dream career, is just extremely humbling to me. And so, I think, at around age like 15, 16 is when I kind of was like, all right, this is my career. This is what I want to do. So, I think it's time to get serious, and shot a couple pilots, which would have, they didn't end up going, but they would have forced me to move to California. And so, I guess that's when I kind of got serious about it. But growing up, it was always a hobby. It was always right next to football. I would play football in the fall, and then, go back to acting and do a film or, whatever came my way, and then go back to football the next year. And it was kind of like, it was nice because it made it so my world didn't revolve around, You still had that sense of normalcy. Totally. And I went to public school.
Yeah. Was that something that your parents thought was really important growing up?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It was, they definitely enforced that I had a normal life, and, I went to prom and I went to homecoming, and I played high school football and, graduated from a public school. And so it was, it definitely was nice to have, a normal life in a small town like Franklin.
Did you still have chores and stuff like that?
Oh, of course. Yeah, like what? Of course. Cleaning my room, doing the dishes, cleaning the bathroom, taking out the trash. I still have all these chores.
Still get yelled at when you don't do that.
Of course, pull your weight, Luke.
Yeah.
But it was, of course. You got to.
And you have 2 younger sisters as well. Do either of them have musical aspirations or acting aspirations?
Up till now, they've both said that they don't. But they are, despite their prior saying, they've kind of taken interest to it. They're both in the school play of Hairspray this year, which will be fun. I get to see them do that, and we'll see if they continue this. The middle sister's 16, and this is kind of her first acting thing, and she's expressed that she really likes it, and that she has a dream to be on Broadway one day.
Really?
And I was like, well, go for it, because she's a phenomenal dancer. That's been her thing growing up, is that she was always dancing and doing, competition dance and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's a possibility. And then the youngest, we're still not sure about. She's 12, 13. And right now she's really heavy into softball.
Yeah.
She's a crazy good athlete. Extremely fast and tall, so I could see her, going to college on a sports scholarship or something like that for sure. But we'll see. They're definitely both extremely talented from getting my parents' genes in them. So we'll see what they end up doing. But they're both gorgeous and amazing girls. So.
Yeah. So your entire family ended up moving from Tennessee to LA together. Was that because of acting for you?
Yeah, pretty much. But also acting for my mom, and also my dad does a show in Las Vegas where he's a songwriter, and living in Nashville for 20 years, however long he was there, he obviously made tons of connections to
Yeah.
other songwriters and musicians, and being in the music world for 30 years, you know, obviously he has all those. And so he, you know, was like, well, I've made all the connections I can make in Nashville. I'm down to go to LA. So we kind of did. And also LA to Las Vegas is a much easier trek.
Than across the entire country.
Than across the whole country. So, so yeah, it was kind of natural. And I had shot 2 pilots, like I said, where we had kind of like, we were like, all right, you know, the pilots were kind of done deals, and we had been told like, all right, this is like the next big thing. So we're like, sweet, you know, we're ready to move, and they ended up not going. So we were kind of already in that mindset. And
when you're when you were auditioning before moving to LA or shooting a pilot, was that something where one of your parents would go with you and then the other would stay at home with your sisters?
Yeah, pretty much.
How did that work out? Yeah.
We did a lot of tape. A lot of tapes. It's funny. If you want to see the kitchen we taped in, go look up Miley's Hannah Montana audition, because my mom put her on tape for that.
Really?
For that show, yeah, and it was in our kitchen,
my
and that's kind of where we did all of our tapes. I booked How to Eat Fried Worms when I was really young off tape.
So you guys were close then, since both of your families lived in.
Yeah, they moved out here obviously way before we did, and I was much closer to Brazen, Miley's little brother, than I was to Miley. But yeah, we definitely keep in touch with their family, and you know, it's nice to have.
That's crazy.
You know, other Franklinites. Kesha, she's from Franklin.
Really?
Yeah. So is Haley Williams.
Okay.
The whole band of Paramore. They're from. They all went to my high school.
I mean, that is a musical city.
Right out of Nashville. So. But yeah, so it was tapes, and then it was pretty much me and my mom, honestly, that would go and on sets and do it together. So we have great memories from that. Yeah.
And I know you mentioned your mom was in Cloud 9 with you. Yeah. Was she ever in any other productions with you?
Yeah, we did a movie. It was an independent movie called Doggone, which was about these diamond thieves who hide diamonds inside of a dog. Like they make
feed
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I find this dog and I fall in love with this dog, and we're like friends, and then all I know is these 3 men are trying to take this dog and hurt it or something. And so it's kind of like a Home Alone type movie where I'm pulling tricks on him, but she plays my mom in that movie.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Another acting role that you had was the teenage version of Alan in Dear John, alongside Amanda Seyfried, Channing Tatum, Henry Thomas. Yeah. And I know Henry Thomas especially, he grew up in the industry, and you had your scenes with him. So did he ever give you any advice?
You know, it's... that whole production is kind of a blur to me.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason. It was a hard character to play in general, just because, you know, I was not only portraying, you know, an autistic teenager, but also I was the boy who played my character younger was really autistic. And so I was also studying him and trying to pick up his nuances. So I feel like a lot of my time was spent watching him and spending time with the little boy, which was incredible, and he was, you know, obviously amazing to work with, and but yeah, you know, I do remember a few things about Henry, and he was one incredibly sweet guy, and you know, we got along great, and I didn't have many scenes with him because when the story came back to Alan, when I was in it and he was older, Henry had cancer and then was dead. Yeah. So there wasn't a bunch of scenes with us, but you know, I do remember him being a really great guy, and you know, obviously a legend. Yeah. And so I was really
all that stuff.
So it was obviously amazing to work with him.
Yeah. Do you have any actors that you look up to in the industry that maybe you hope to have your career emulate theirs?
Definitely. Yeah. I'm a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan.
Really?
Huge. Yeah. And I would, you know, if I could have a career like his, obviously I would kill for one. He's amazing. And not only his career, but also his public persona and how he carries himself, and, you know, kind of his...
You've got the Leo hair.
Working on it. So yeah, if I really, obviously like Leo.
Yeah. Anyone else, or just him in particular?
Of course. I mean, I'm obviously a movie fan, so I really like Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Really like Tom Hardy. I think he's awesome. One of my favorite characters is from the movie Primal Fear. Edward Norton plays a kind of a dual personality, and so obviously that made me a huge Edward Norton fan. Yeah, there's a bunch. I honestly could keep going for 20 minutes about who I like, but.
So outside the industry, I know we talked about you've managed to have this semi-normal lifestyle with going to a regular school. You did football for a while. How did you get involved in that?
Well, I think it was just like a normal day going to school, and I was in like second or third grade maybe, and I was like, "Hey Dad, I want to play football." And he was like, "Really?" And my mom was like, "No." And I was like, "But I want to." And my mom was worried I was gonna get hurt, and my dad was like, "They're all in third grade. How is he gonna get hurt?" And she was like, "Okay, fine." So I did, and that's when I started, and I pretty much played from third grade all the way up to, I guess, sophomore year was the last year I played, and then moved schools, and then moved to LA.
And you played wide receiver?
Wide receiver, yeah, in high school, and then quarterback in middle school.
Okay. What are your favorite teams? I know you like football outside of playing it.
Well, yeah, of course. As far as pro football goes, I didn't have the greatest year with my team because I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. They're not the best, but college was a little bit better. I'm an Alabama fan, and that happened because my aunt married this amazing man who is a diehard Alabama fan and introduced me to, I didn't watch college football really before I met him, and he was, introduced me obviously to Alabama Crimson Tide.
I was going to say Tennessee to Alabama.
Yeah, and my mom went to UT, so she hates that. Me and my dad both, and my little sisters are all Alabama fans now. She hates it. But he got us, he was like, "You can't come in my house unless you're going to watch the game."
Oh
so
my gosh.
Guess we're watching it, and that turned us, so.
Yeah. And you've still gotten to go to homecomings, proms, things like that. How's that been? Is it weird? Is it weird in school, like, since you've had this career, do the kids look at you differently at all?
That it's funny because I went to school with like the same group of kids from kindergarten to sophomore year.
Yeah.
I went, and that was that, those were my friends, and everyone kind of knew me there, and then I moved schools, and that was a little bit different, I had never moved schools before, and making new friends, and then people figuring out that I'm, Fried Worms kid, or, Minutemen kid, and so that was rough, and changing schools was not fun for me. But, after a week or two, they start to they'd start to see me as a kid that goes to their school, and it becomes normal, and there's still like the jokes and the messing around, which is fine. It doesn't bother me, but
what kind of jokes?
But famous kid, blah blah blah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, none of it was really mean. It was just like, if someone picks on you because you're short, they pick on you because you're an actor, or they pick on you because you're famous. So none of it was like, mean-hearted or anything. But yeah, growing up, I had some trouble with bullying just in middle school.
Yeah.
I shot up since then. I used to be short in middle school and kind of, scrawny, and I'm a little bit taller now, which was nice. For high school, it was really nice.
Yeah.
So I dealt with, the older kids picking on me and whatnot, and so to change schools was a little nerve-wracking, but it was nice, and it was character building, and looking back, I feel like I needed it. So
yeah. And I know a lot of kids especially nowadays, have to go through that as well. I went through it when I was younger. And I know a couple of the movies that you were in, Girl vs. Monster and How to Eat Fried Worms, they both tackled that issue of bullying.
Totally.
Why do you think that that's an important message to, get out to kids that it's not okay?
Well, I think that bullying can destroy a life. I think that, everyone's different, and the difference is good, and that, you've been made perfect, just who you are. And so, to bully someone not because they're weird or because they're bad, but because they're different is just stupid. And, whereas it hurts the person being bullied, it makes the bullies look like an idiot, because what are you making fun of? It's nothing's bad about them. It's just different from you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Seems like it usually stems from their own insecurities.
Yeah, totally. Without a doubt. But yeah, I hate it personally, and I know most people do.
One of the things that seems like it's helped you transition from, living in Franklin to living out here, family dinners.
Yeah.
So tell us what that means for people who might not know.
Well, basically, it was really my parents' idea. They just saw that a lot of people here who we had met on sets and had become friends with, the big thing they said that they miss from home is community. And it's a lonely city. It really is. And a lot of cities are, and so my parents had the idea to come out here and to create community and give these people a sense of family. And so every Sunday night we do this thing, not every, but schedule willing, if we're out of town, obviously we can't, but we had this thing called family dinner, and my mom, great cook, country, comfort food, makes dinner for 20, 30, sometimes,
oh my gosh,
35, 40 kids, and we just hang out and play games and sit on the campfire, and it's honestly just time to fellowship and have community. It's a blast, and I look forward to it every week. And
do you help out?
Of course.
That seems like it's a lot of people to cook for.
Yeah, totally. My sisters and my mom usually do the cooking, and then me and my dad usually clean.
Okay.
That's usually how it goes down. Every once in a while I'll help cook.
Has she taught you how to cook at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't cook very much, but I did take a culinary class at school,
really?
which was fun, and it was good to know.
What'd you learn how to make?
A lot, like bruschetta.
Bruschetta? That's just bread.
Well, the tomato and the cut up stuff on top.
You just slice tomato and put some seasoning on it.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But clam chowder.
Okay.
So I mean, that's probably a little. I probably should have said that one first.
Yeah.
It's good clam chowder too.
Yeah. You can make a mean bowl of cereal.
Yeah, sick bowl of cereal. Eggs. Yeah.
So you're learning.
I'm getting there though.
Okay.
I have a chef's hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that helps.
You look the part then.
Yeah, of course.
You could play a chef on TV.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I have to ask about Pokemon. Mm-hmm. There's a slight obsession.
Yeah.
Okay. Where
Pokemon
did that
and Star Wars.
Pokemon and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. So which came first?
Probably Pokemon.
Okay.
It came from probably ever since the first time I played a Pokemon game.
Really? Game Boy?
Yeah, Game Boy.
Back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was on Because of Winn-Dixie, a movie I shot with Anna Sophia Robb and Jeff Daniels and Dave Matthews. We were in the reshoots, and the guy who played my brother had a Game Boy and had Pokemon on it, and let me play for like 15 minutes one night, and I was like, Mom, this has to happen.
Yeah.
And it did. And
she got you one?
Yeah. Eventually I got I think I already had a Game Boy, and I was like, I just got to get Pokemon.
Did you have a time limit on playing? Because I know I used to play for hours at a time.
Oh, yeah.
My mom would get so pissed off. Like, so mad. So you had a time limit?
Of course, yeah. I think it fluctuated, and every once in a while I'd get away with a little bit more time, but it was usually around like an hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the obsession with Star Wars happen?
I honestly don't know. I think I watched the movies when I was growing up, and then rewatched them maybe like 5-6 years ago, and I just was like obsessed. And last year for Christmas, not last year, the year before last year, I was like, Mom, this is my last Christmas as like not an adult, like as a kid. Like I want some toys. And she was like, okay. And they got me like a full like cloth like Jedi robe and like a lightsaber.
Oh my gosh.
And like some like antique like action figures and stuff. And so that my room has like Star Wars stuff all over it now. It's awesome.
Are you excited for the new movies?
Oh yeah, of course. I want to be in them.
Is this your campaign, your official campaign to be in Star Wars?
I want to be in Star Wars. Yeah, I would. That would be amazing. You know?
So along that line, do you have any dream roles that you would want to be in other than Star Wars? Perhaps?
Other than Star Wars, you know, this question's always hard for me just because it's always back and forth. I honestly just want to do a lot of roles, a lot of different roles. You know, I'd like to, you know, never be the same character more than once. So I guess that if I could have a dream, that would be it, is just to, you know, have the legacy of being an actor, you know, and not being a personality.
Okay.
So.
And you've been on so many auditions at this point. Do you still get nervous for them, or is it just really easy?
I'll be honest, I really don't get nervous anymore.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny. It's because I sit in the audition room with guys who are nervous, and you know, one thing that kind of helped me to remember is that these casting directors are people just like me, one, and two, they want me to succeed just as much as I want to succeed, because they want to go home. You know? So going into it, you know, I feel confident in what I've been taught and, you know, what God's blessed me with. And so I just go in and with that confidence, I guess, and put my best foot forward. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. So.
Have you ever had a crazy or a weird audition?
Yeah, Cloud 9 was a little weird. Well, it was, I mean, obviously I've had a great relationship with Disney, and, you know, obviously auditioned for them many times, but I went in and it was just me and Dove, who plays Kayla, my love interest, and we went in together and we did the scenes, and they're like, great, we want to do this scene again. And it was kind of the fight scene where we were kind of upset with each other, and they were like, Luke, we want you to walk away and then turn around and come back and kiss her. And I was like, me and Dove was kind of stopped for a second. We were like now?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah. And we were like, well, okay. So that was the first time, and I don't know when it'll happen again, but probably the only time I've kissed in an audition. So yeah, so that was fun. Got us acquainted.
That's kind of crazy. Being in the Disney family, I know that they favor a lot of actors that they've had before. And have they ever just given you a role or approached you for a specific role as opposed to having to audition for it?
There's been, let's see, I shot one pilot for Disney probably like 2 years ago.
Is that Madison High?
That was Madison High.
Okay.
And then that didn't go, and they immediately came with another pilot.
Okay. And
that was called Zombies and Cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Which turned out amazing. I wish everyone could see it. But yeah, and so that was pretty much the closest thing I got. They told me about it, and then I pretty much just went and met the director, and we just kind of threw ideas and did like a little work session. And then, you know, I became part of the casting, and I was actually on the other side of the table, which helps again with nerves. And then Cloud 9 was the only audition I really had was the one with Dove.
Okay. So it's more of a chemistry read.
So yeah, pretty much.
Well, very much a chemistry read.
Yeah, definitely chemistry read.
So, I mean, Madison High, especially, that had so much hype behind it. Were you disappointed at all when it didn't get picked up?
Of course, yeah. It was, me and my family were definitely kind of set at that point on moving, and we sold our house and unenrolled from school, and we were ready to get out here, and it seemed like a done deal. Everyone was really excited about it, and then it ended up not going, and we were like, well, okay, what do we do now? And then they came with Zombies and Cheerleaders, and that was pretty much the same thing. It was like a done deal, and they were like, we're so excited, and that didn't go either. So we were like, well, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And so we just kept on moving forward, and now we're here. So obviously, there was definitely a purpose behind it, and I've made some of my best friends on those 2 sets. So
yeah. And it clearly ended up working out with everything else that you've gotten. So some of your more recent roles are what I want to talk about now. Cloud 9, which we've mentioned several times throughout this interview. You play Will Cloud, who is this former snowboarder, kind of stops snowboarding or retires from snowboarding. You had done some snowboarding before, but how good were you? Did you have to learn stuff for the role?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't snowboard very much in the shooting, which was I was a little upset. I like to do my own stunts. I do. It's kind of my I can't think of the word. But yeah, I had known I can get down a hill, I can hit a little bit of, a few jumps, but I can't do the half pipe like those guys. But in the start of the shoot, there was about like a week and a half, 2 weeks of snowboarding camp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was with Dove and me and the rest of the cast, all the Swift snowboarders who kind of like the bad team in the movie. And that was a blast for me and a couple other guys who already knew how to snowboard, because it was pretty much like a week and a half, 2 weeks at the start of
paid vacation.
Yeah, just hanging out on the slopes and snowboarding with amazing instructors and stunt doubles, and so it was I loved it, and it got me acquainted to a snowboard, and because I hadn't been in a while.
And you guys shot on location in Park City? That's amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. So
freezing.
Your mom was out there as well.
Yeah.
For her role. Is it like, I mean, you have this parent on set. Was she coaching you at all while you were doing stuff, or did she just kind of let you be?
I'll be honest, it's been kind of an interesting journey for my mom and I, like for the past 2 years or so, just because I'm moving into the time where I'm an adult and becoming a man and need to start kind of doing it on my own, and she still wants to be mama and wants to be acting coach, and she still is, but we've started to kind of find the happy medium of both, and so on Cloud 9 it was kind of at the point where we had found that happy medium, and it was easy, and I respect her as a peer and as an artist, and she respects me, and whereas she's still my mentor, there definitely was that cohesiveness, so it was nice.
Because you're her baby.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to let go. The first one's always the hardest.
Yeah, I know.
So was there lots of falling when you were snowboarding on set?
Oh, definitely.
How many times did you have to redo a take because of falling in a scene?
Tons. And we didn't even snowboard. There was a few times where they would put like one of the guys in the snowboard and have him literally just go probably like a foot, 2 feet, and just stop and try and stand there, and obviously it's like you're on like an edge on your heels on this like ice, and so it's like naturally you're gonna like either you're gonna just flat out sit down or you're gonna fall, and so that happens. I can't even count how many times.
Well,
as well as
standing's
goggles.
the hardest, I feel like, when you're moving.
Of course. It's like, I don't know. It was pointless. They ended up having to just like dig like steps
Really?
So that like you could just go and put your snowboard on like the flat surface, and then it was a little bit easier. It was still pretty hard, but and yeah, goggles were a pain too. They would because we always were wearing goggles with our helmets, and so we don't want to like have a scene with a goggle on because that's like a little weird, and you're like, why?
And it fogs up.
Yeah, and plus you see the camera in the goggles,
Oh,
which is weird.
yeah.
You don't want to see so we would always have to put up our goggles before we started talking, and I remember Carlon, for some reason his goggles just didn't want to cooperate, and they would always end up like too far down, so they were kind of covering his eyes, or they'd like fall off the back of the helmet. And it was yeah. So we had a bunch of bloopers on that set for sure.
Good bloopers.
Yeah, definitely.
Ravenswood is another role that you've had recently, and as we mentioned, huge success coming off of Pretty Little Liars, the spinoff. Ashley Benson has been on several times, and she's going to be on the finale tonight of the first season. How's it been working with her?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't personally have any scenes with her, but I got to meet her and shake her hand and, see her interaction with the crew and with, the cast, and she's a sweet girl, so I whereas I didn't get to know her very well, I saw her, reputation, and, she has a good one in my book, so.
Yeah. How did you find out that you landed the role?
It was actually kind of, I originally went in and I tested for the character of Luke.
Okay.
And I was there with Brett, and obviously we didn't know each other back then. We were still just competitors. And, I got the feedback that they really liked me, but that they felt that I was too young looking to play Olivia's brother. And I was like, okay. And then about like a week later, they were like, hey, does Luke want to test for another character? It's just him right now. And if he comes in, he's the only one on our minds for it. And so I was like, sure. I thought I was too young, but yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And so I went in and they told me that this character, is the boy next door, but he's gonna have a twist, and I was like, okay, I like this,
and he did have a twist,
and he did, which is great. So yeah, and then I went in with Gail, the casting director, who's a sweetheart, and love auditioning with her, and knocked it out. So.
Yeah. Who was the first person you told when you officially got it?
I think my mom was there with me when my agent called me and told me, but the night before, I had been kind of like procrastinating about learning my lines, and I've been really blessed with like a core group of guys out here that that really have my back and keep me accountable. And the night before, they had no idea that I had this test the next day, and I guess they found out somehow. Maybe my mom told them or something, and they sat me down. They were like, "We're gonna leave, and you're gonna learn your lines." And I was like, all right. So that I told them obviously immediately that,
Thanks
their
for doing
advice
that.
paid off. So
yeah. And as you mentioned, we all thought that Dylan was this charming boy next door. Had a huge twist. How much backlash did you get over everything that happened with Olivia?
It's always funny to read the tweets I get back, just because everyone's like, listen, everyone, like, I feel like they take it so personal.
Yeah.
And they're like, listen, they don't want to offend me, but they want to let me know that they're offended.
What was the hashtag, like, down with Dylan or something like that?
Yeah, it's something like, or don't trust Dylan.
Don't trust Dylan, yeah.
But they're always like, listen, Luke, we still like you. Will Cloud was cool, but I hate Dylan. Hashtag don't trust him. I'm like, thanks, whew. Like one of my alter egos. No, but it's always a hoot to read, the tweets I get about Dylan.
Yeah.
It's,
Has it been fun playing this bad guy?
Of course. Yeah. It's so contrasting from Will Cloud that it was like, awesome to play. And I have some cool scenes. I had the scene with Luke that just came out in episode 9 was in like the steamy like locker room was a blast to shoot. And then I have a cool scene coming up in the last episode.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited for everyone to see. So yeah, it's a blast. I love it.
And the car that you got to drive this season.
Yeah.
I heard it was a stick shift and you had to learn how to drive it on set. Was that hard?
Definitely hard. Yeah. If you've ever learned how to, if you ever know stick, it takes a while to get used to. And I was told, of course, afterwards that this was a touchy stick shift and that it was very touchy, I guess.
Yeah, temperamental.
Yeah. And so I learned on that kind of the morning before I had to, I guess it was the first episode where I had to like pull up into frame. And so, I don't think we got any takes where the car was like screeching in it, but like before, like it took me probably 3 or 4 times every take to like get it going.
Yeah.
I would always
You stalled out a lot.
and then just stall. And then I'd be like, and everyone's like waiting for me. And the director's like, action, Luke, action. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying.
Have to restart the car.
Yeah, I had to put it back in neutral and turn it on again. But we got it. It's over now.
Yeah.
But a beautiful car. Stunning car. Very manly. Made me feel like very manly.
Are you going to keep up learning stick shift or you're done with that?
Yeah, maybe eventually. I kind of got the hang of it as it went on.
Okay.
And then the car felt like really cool. I felt like I was in like Need for Speed or something. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, can you give us any spoilers on tonight? No.
It's a big episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that are going to be answered, and a lot more questions that are going to be brought up. Of course, the ABC family, Ravenswood, Pretty Little Liars way. But yeah, it's a big episode for my character, which I'm really excited about, and fingers crossed that everyone likes it.
Yeah. Have you heard any news about season 2?
I haven't.
Okay.
No, and I've been texting Brett and Brittany, who I've kind of kept in touch with the most, and they as of now they don't have any word either. So
I know fans really want it.
I know.
And especially if there are going to be more questions.
Yeah, it's definitely a cliffhanger.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So, couple more questions. If you were to guest star on any other TV show, which show would you want to guest star on?
Without a doubt, Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah, I love that show so much. It's I'm so excited for the newest season. And also I think the acting is amazing as well as the story, and so yeah, definitely Game of Thrones.
What kind of character would you want to play? Good or evil?
Probably good.
Okay.
Yeah, probably one of the I don't know, maybe like a Lord of the North, that was like that's like friends with the Starks, but he wants revenge.
Are you good with accents?
You'd
have to
eventually.
learn one for
I'd have to learn it. Southern accent, I've got on my belt. That's about it so far.
What other TV are you watching?
I've kind of been I kind of rewatched like the first season of The Office, and I've kind of been going through that. Also, my buddy turned me on to this show called The League, which is another
hilarious
comedy. It's amazing because fantasy football is just comedic in and of itself. The Walking Dead, love that show. I tried to get into Breaking Bad, and I've been trying to watch it with my girlfriend, but we just don't ever have time. Yeah. The Bachelor. How can I forget? The Bachelor, of course.
I love The Bachelor.
It's so good.
How did you end up liking The Bachelor? Because you have sisters and stuff, or?
Yeah, my dad.
Really?
Oh yeah, my dad loves The Bachelor too. It's we just kind of sit down as a family and watch The Bachelor.
That's kind of a funny show to watch as a family.
I can't. Maybe it might have been the year before Emily was the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
So when she was one of the girls, I think that's when we all started watching as a family.
Brad Womack's second season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his second. Oh yeah. That.
Who do you think's gonna win this season?
It's that's tough. I really my top 2. I have a top 2.
Okay.
And I'm still deciding on which one I think is better, but I like Nikki.
Okay.
And I like Andy.
Okay. Those are 2 of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll give you that. So what do you do in your free time when you get it?
I play a lot of basketball. basketball is an easier sport to play pickup than football, so I kind of picked that up. And Xbox, I hang out with my boys and watch The Bachelor. Play piano.
So normal teenage boy stuff.
Yeah, I don't do nothing. I don't really do anything that's really off the wall.
Yeah,
I guess.
That's good.
Yeah, sleep. I like to sleep.
Sleeping
That's
in,
nice.
that's a normal teenage boy thing too.
Yeah, and eating.
Eating, yeah.
Eating's always good.
Have you ever Googled yourself?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have.
How often?
I actually think, I don't know if this really counts as Googling myself, but the last family dinner, one of the guys was like, oh, here goes Luke with his smolder. And I was like, I don't smolder. And he's like, I guarantee if I search on Google, the first picture is going to be a smolder. And I was like, no, it won't. I smile on most of my pictures. And he was like, we'll see. And he Googled me, and then the first picture was me smoldering.
What does smoldering look like?
It's kind of different for everyone, but it's like just those like serious, it's like the serious face where it's like you're almost like trying to say through the picture like don't talk to me. or like leave me alone.
Yeah.
Or there's a smolder like entangled.
When people are taking pictures of you? Leave me alone. Don't take pictures.
Sometimes, yeah. My mom, I'm used to it. My mom takes numbers of pictures.
Is she the type of mom that has a million photo albums?
Yeah, millions.
Yeah.
Which is, it's, at the time when you're taking the picture, you're like, ugh. But then when you look back, you're like, all right, that's a cool picture. I'm glad we have it. So.
Cool to have documentation of
exactly
all the ages. I know that your family is also heavily involved in charity work and giving back. Mm-hmm. Why is that important to you guys?
Well, I think for us personally, it's we look at it as the things we have aren't ours, but have been entrusted to us to be good stewards of and to use wisely and to, make the world a better place and to make people's lives a better place and to change people's lives. And so, with what we've been given and entrusted to, we try to entrust to other people and to invest into lives. And so I guess that's kind of how we look at it. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much the basic.
That's a cool outlook. Yeah.
Thanks.
We've talked a lot about the accomplishments that you've had, but moving forward, what do you hope to accomplish in both your life and career?
I want to be living in the calling that I've been given, and I want to feel like, when I get to the end of my life, I want to look back and say, I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm proud of what I did. And whether that's whatever it is moving forward, I want to make sure that I'm always staying true to what I've been made to do, and the rest is history, I guess. But right now I want to make art that impacts people and changes people's outlook, and not just makes you cry, but impacts your heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something meaningful.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what other advice do you have for young actors that may want to, follow in your footsteps?
There's really no rhyme or reason to why some people can act and some people can't. But if you feel like that's your calling and that's your talent, go for it. Because it's all about timing, and it's all about being in the right place at the right time and with the right people, and it's all about relationships. So honestly, it's not a business for the faint at heart. But if you want it, you got to go for it. You got to give yourself up to it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I have. So we do have our shameless plug section.
Okay.
Twitter, website, Instagram, whatever you have. Let the fans know.
Tell them my stuff.
Yeah, all that
Okay.
stuff. When they can see the Ravenswood finale.
Yes. Twitter is. Did I tell them like my handle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where they can find you.
Twitter is at Luke Benward. It's pretty simple. Instagram is at LA Benward. My first 2 initials.
What's your middle name?
Aaron.
Aaron.
My dad's name. It's kind of like a family. Ravenswood on tonight. Tune in. It's going to be a crazy episode. It's the season finale. And
do you have any other projects coming up?
Yeah, I have a film I shot last year that's coming out in April, and it's a Civil War movie about these like 7 cadets at Virginia Military Institute who kind of led the charge to in the Battle of Newmarket, and they kind of, saved the life of the Confederacy in that battle. But it's really just about these 7 cadets who, are just boys who go into war, and so that should come out in April. And I think it's in limited theater release, so if you see it close to you, please go see it. I think it's predominantly on the East Coast, maybe some on the West, but
what's it called again?
It's called Field of Lost Shoes.
Field of Lost Shoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm excited to see that. And we'll see how it turns out. And I worked with some amazing actors on it, so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. This has been a blast, to say the least. And if you guys want to subscribe to Chatting with Cathy, you can find us on iTunes as well as AfterBuzz TV's YouTube page. AfterBuzz TV also has a ton of other shows, after shows included. Ravenswood is on there. You should definitely check that out. And then rate, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. That's how we grow here at AfterBuzz. Thanks again for tuning in, and thanks, Luke, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.